Good evening.
Everywhere I go on this island, it seems to me I find degeneracy.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. See, it's a lot scarier when there's no motive, Sid.
We have a bargain.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
Do you feel the pain? Oh, it's the pain I can assure you will be exquisite.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
His entire work consists of violence, all the time. Obsessed with the issue of violence, mayhem, gouging out of eyes, autopsies on the stage.
Come. It is time to keep your appointment.
Good evening, all. It is a Thursday in the UK at 8 p.m. This is your appointment, the UK's coziest horror stream. Sometimes we even have a background when I'm quick enough to turn it on. I hope you're all well. Both the regular folks in the chat, good to see you. Lots of familiar faces in there. Hello, Maverick. Hello, Mima. Hello, the Alabaster. Who else have we got? Who's here from the regulars? And also to everyone watching on the replay, very good. Well, I can't see you, but I know you watch. I see the stats. I know you appreciate what we're doing, and I appreciate what you do watching, not live, but later. It all helps it tick over. Baldwin from Bethune, you count as a regular now. I recognise that name. You definitely count as a regular. Good evening. We are back in our first September stream. And we are back on horror anthologies. We have been alternating throughout the year. We have absolutely zero chance whatsoever of finishing this in 1 year. We're going to be going quite far into 2024 to give you a reasonably comprehensive history of horror anthologies. But I'm kind of delighted that we're actually getting into the 90s now. I wasn't sure we'd reach the 90s, but we're just going to tick over into them in this episode because we are covering Tales from the Crypt, the series, not the Amicus film, which we've also talked about briefly, but yes, the HBO series, which started running from 1989. I'm not going to be doing this alone. It's too hot. I need like refreshment breaks, at the very least. So I need that backup. As it is absolutely roasting here, we cannot handle it in England. So I have got backup. As it's a horror anthology, there's really only one person that I'd call on. Hello, Murgoot.
Hello. Sorry, mute button.
It's all good. My brain is fried. I just went rambling.
Yeah,
oh, dear.
It's not too hot here. It's about 84 Fahrenheit, which in French units, let's see, Fahrenheit to Celsius.
Too hot's what it is.
It's 29 C. Not bad. I consider heat wave over 95 for several days in a row.
I think you've got greater tolerance for it than me or my chickens. They have been side flopping and sunbathing all day. And if you've never seen a chicken sunbathe, folks, look it up. It's amazing. Question here from Mima. What about Tales from the Dark Side? The series? Well, we're doing the movie next week, and the movie was 1990. I was tempted. Should we reach into the TV series? Oh, I don't know. I'm tempted. I'll see how easy it is to find, maybe, and I'll have a little look around and see if it's worth covering. I was tempted, but we have to finish horror anthologies in 2024 at the very least. I can't extend it into 2025. It was tempting though. And it's not just you and me, Murgoot. Of course, we have the regular co-host. He's 23 now, but will he live to see 24? The way things are going, I don't know. It's that crime guy.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for having me on again. It's a pleasure as always. And hello, chat. How you doing?
Hopefully well. Hopefully handling the better than me. Oh,
Robot.
interesting avatar there, Mr. Crime Guy.
Ah, yes, you may have noticed.
It's a fancy new look for September.
I know. Well, I do you know what? I was going to save it until 10,000 subs, but I can't. So this is kind of an exclusive for Bob Horror Show's channel. So I have been kind of working on a super secret project for the last couple of months and looking for some ideas. And Horrorshow has been aware. Murgoot hasn't, so this is news to him as well. But I have finally settled on something. So when I hit 10,000 subscribers, I'm going to be setting up a new channel. Don't worry. The crime stuff will still continue, but I do want to get more regular stuff out, and the AI seems to be all the rage at the moment, and so I figured that I would seek the help from ChatGPT and create some little short sort of horror kind of stories and spooky stuff like that, and just work on my narration. So as I say, that will get set up from the moment I hit 10,000 subscribers, which Social Blade is estimating will be around October time, so potentially next month. So keep an eye out for any announcements on my main channel. And
But both keep an eye out and tell your friends about that Crime Guys channel. You know you've got someone in the office who enjoys a bit of true crime. You mention your Uncle Crime Guy to them.
Exactly.
Now that'll be nifty and very well earned. I hope we can celebrate it on stream and sort of maybe it ticks over midstream. Can you imagine that?
Oh, that'd be incredible. That would. Hang on. It said the 25th of October. I'm just going to have a quick look at the old calendars now. Ooh, that's a Wednesday. So it could happen on the 26th of October.
Maybe. Or they'll rush forward and you'll do it almost a week earlier. It could still happen. Maybe. I believe it. Seeing
maybe.
Joe in the chat, you lost 20 games of chess in a row. Is this a setup for a pun? I'm never sure. All right. Well, folks, we're covering 3 different stories, so I want to be reasonably brisk, and I won't be delaying us with 40 minutes of a game show tonight.
Oh.
But we'll have something like a Halloween game special. I've got that planned. I wanted to do the sort of end of the month community stream bonus one, but I was absolutely tied up in volunteering and I could not do it. So alas, but there'll be definitely some fun stuff at the end of September. I'll fit it in. Don't worry. Oh, I really am struggling to go on in the heat. Can you tell?
Oh, it's a nightmare, isn't it?
I can't cope.
What is the temperature there?
It's like 30. Oh, 24 at the moment, but it's just been horrible today. And it's just
muggy.
Been horrible all week.
It's absolutely muggy. It's like a sauna.
Yeah, it was like 30. It was like 32 degrees earlier where I am.
Oh.
Well, that's one thing I don't have to deal with. It's humidity. I'm in high desert, so.
Oh no, we're absolutely roasting in it. And you know what? By the way, when we come back to the board games, when we do our trusty play your stars right, I think we're gonna have to rethink it. I don't know if you've seen this, but the story in the news about the rotten tomatoes.
No.
Murky, you've seen it. I can tell.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
There's a little bit of an expose has been dropped. Now, I wouldn't say it was from the friendliest source. It had some complaints around the critics on Rotten Tomatoes that I wouldn't necessarily agree with. but it highlighted a very valid concern that basically your Rotten Tomatoes ratings, you know how we've always felt the critics, they've been a bit off. And we thought, well, you know, you kind of have you've got a reputation to maintain as a critic, haven't you? You know, you want it's kind of like you don't want to really admit that you've just been snacking on Bombay Bad Boys again. You try and tell people you've been cooking some impressive tuna niçoise salad or something, but really it's been the Bombay Bad Boys. You know, you try and talk yourself up, and so if you're a movie critic, you want to try and look like you're a bit more discerning, that you've got more refined tastes, you know. But it's not just that. It turns out they've been getting bribed.
What? We all knew that anyway, didn't we?
Yeah. Well,
we assumed it.
Interest. It's not just that they're deleting the negative reviews, because obviously their troll reviews are. It's also that they're literally there was a big complaint around the number of verified critics is too damn small, and also too exclusive, too pale, male, and stale. So let's widen it out. And they widened it out to people that you could bribe for $50 to give a 5-star review.
50 quid, my God. 50 quid, is that all they cost?
50 quid.
50 quid. I'd have done it for 30.
Would you rate Step Up 3? Oh, wait, I forgot my Step Up films. What's the one where they went to the ocean?
I haven't seen any. What? I haven't seen any of them.
Oh, you're missing out. But well, let's go to something we can all relate to. Would you have given Britney Spears' debut film Crossroads the 5 stars for 50 quid? I don't know. Your name's got to be against that. You know, people see it.
I'd have done it for, like I said, I would have done it for 30. And a number. Go on, sort us out.
Fair play. Yeah, so that news broke. Emails were leaked, basically laying it all out. It's pretty darn clear, and that explains partly some of the very suspicious critic ratings. You know, we did say that 7% for Friday the 13th Part 3 just didn't look right. And now, admittedly, that was, quick maths, 31 years. Too soon, but nevertheless, I feel vindicated. I see John Goris is in. Thank you very much, John, for the $5. Bribes make the world go round. So they do. So they do indeed. I will not be bribing you to tell your friends about the stream and to say it's the best horror stream on the internet. But gosh darn it, if you feel like it, I would heartily encourage it. Think of the kudos you'd get for doing it and helping this channel grow. Thank you very much, John. You helped me segue into my week shilling. Yes, that is my week shilling attempt before we get on to the film. Sorry, the subject discussion. I'll just say quickly that this channel will only grow if it's promoted by you fine folk, because the algo won't do it. The algo wants to see subscription. So if you haven't subscribed, please do that for me. I'd very much appreciate it. And most of all, if you've got a friend who you think would appreciate what I do here, send them a link. Tell them what we get up to. Tell them it's a laugh. Maybe don't mention the fact that we waste 40 minutes on game show simulations. Just focus on the high quality analysis.
No. I disagree. You have to tell them about the time wasting. This is a very very wide-ranging podcast with lots of fun little activities. We should do it more. In fact, Corona Survivor, I absolutely agree. This is way the best horror stream ever on all the internets. All of the internets combined.
Oh, fantastic. I agree. Corona Survivor, absolutely. And hey, Marina, good to see you. Yes, it's, help with all that stuff. Okay, maybe do mention the time wasting. Don't mention the weird songs that come up occasionally, like the Wuthering Heights cover. Again, for anyone who remembers that.
Grow your carrots by yourself. You absolutely have to mention that one.
Oh yeah, the carrot pill.
You should also mention that little skit Horrorshow and I did for oh god, what was that in
Or Velma.
Velma? Yeah, no, not that. Oh, it was that one. Yeah, Velma. That's it. Yeah. You gotta let them know about that.
The morality of MILF Manor, sort
That's
of
it.
Nietzschean ethics through the eyes of MILF Manor. I'll give you a little spoiler, folks. There is something dropping that is infuriating, and it is on the same line. It is edited. I'm sort of waiting for the opportunity. I might release that to members so you can suffer through it first. But oh, and the final thing, of course, if you like what I'm doing here, if you want to do more than the like, commenting, and subscribing, you can, of course, support me on YouTube and Subscribestar. Subscribestar is my preference for the cut, but whichever works for you, it's all good. And that is my shilling out the way. Thank you so much. TCG, any additional shills? You had a cheeky little AI guy shill, and you've dropped a link in the chat for people, if anyone fancies that.
Popped it in there. I have now turned the channel on, so it is there. Go and subscribe to that AI guy. That is me. I'll be reading AI narrations, and there'll be videos that I'm going to be working on now, which will be released when my main channel, That Crime Guy, hits 10,000 subscribers. So get the jump on everybody now. Seriously, go and check it out. It's going to be a little fun. But yeah, in terms of main projects, I'm currently working on a video at the moment. It's just one of those things that take their time. But I am also streaming over on my second channel, which is my live channel, Ace Attorney. We're currently on the second game, Justice for All. We've got some regulars who are here tonight, like Marina, Mima, in particular, who have been checking that out. So you can vouch for me. It's a blooming fun game, and I would love to see as many of you there as possible. So please do check it out. I say, if you want to find that channel, it's within the channel section of That Crime Guy, which I'm sure Horrorshow has linked in the description.
Absolutely. And Murgoot, any shilling for yourself, sir? Yeet, Murgoot.
Yeah. Things going on around here. Yeah, not much today, just my Twitter at Murgoot. It's been a pretty quiet couple weeks around here. So other than that, just looking forward to the stream.
Oh, fantastic. Well, links to both TCG and Murgoot's channels are in the description to the video. But with that said, in a bizarrely timely 18 minutes, fitting in a short bonus topic on the absolute corruption of Rotten Tomatoes, let's get into it, folks. Tales from the Crypt, broadcasting on HBO in 1989 on a, I would say, reasonable budget. And adapting the comics of the EC comics. So the titles you'll know: Tales from the Crypt, Vault of Horror, etc. Does that ring a? I mean, I've got a suspicion, Murgoot, did you ever read those originals? Have you come across them? Because they're not really a thing in Britain.
I read them as a kid. You find them in like thrift stores and antique shops, and yes, I did read a few as a kid. Vault of Horror, Tales from the Crypt, and then some of the other ones like DC's weird war stories, that kind of thing. You could pick them up, and then they did a reboot in the 90s of EC Comics, and I picked those up fairly religiously.
Ooh. Now you will have the most, and it sounds like you will have the most familiarity then. That sounds kind of fun going for it like that. I'll just get one of them up on screen so you can see it, everyone. Sorry, things running a tiny bit slow tonight. I can't blame it all on the heat, though. I will try. I just want to highlight that what you're going to see there, it's maybe it's easiest if I do it like that. You might struggle to make it out here, but you could probably see that the character on the left-hand side in the golden ring under featuring is the Crypt Keeper. Now, you have a little look at that, and forgive me, folks, this might seem like a bit of a retread for some of you who were there when we were covering the Amicus films. Covering Amicus and covering Creepshow. Some of you will be familiar with this, but I'll just go over it again very quickly. You'll see that the Crypt Keeper that you see there does not look anything like our Crypt Keeper that is the mascot of this show that introduces every episode. The first time that Tales from the Crypt was adapted by Amicus, they did use a Crypt Keeper who looked like the classic one. But it's a bit of an old style one. In between that old version that was, fairly faithful but restrained, there's a little movie by the name of Creepshow that came out that we covered on stream. And Creepshow is also a very direct tribute to these exact same comics. In style, certainly, even though the material it's drawing off is Stephen King. That was directed by George Romero, who went on to make the Tales from the Dark Side series that was mentioned earlier by Mima. Now, the Creep in Creepshow, I guess, was a bit more of an appealing character. And so when they did this HBO adaptation of Tales from the Crypt, they didn't go for the restrained original design of the Crypt Keeper that Amicus used. They went for something that was basically it's the Crypt. It's basically the Creep from Creepshow. You've got an extremely decayed corpse with the nose missing. The resemblance, I'm sure you can see. And it works with the sort of schlocky tone that they're going for here. Everything is a bit more extreme. It's not really meant to be taken seriously. The very nature of the Crypt Keeper, the fact that it's, he's a sort of shambolic puppet with this wonderfully memorable voice, this distinctive voice by John Casilla, making these terrible puns. It really does set the tone for what you're in for, and it is nothing like the slightly austere Amicus version.
Yeah. John Cassier, before, he's done a lot of voice work and done a lot of work with puppeteers. The one before Tales from the Crypt, he was the voice of Chucky before Brad Dourif took over.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. As in the first film, he was providing the sort of basic.
Film.
In the second film?
Mm-hmm.
Ah. Hey, that is new. That is news to me. Mm-hmm. We have a little question here. From Corona Survivor, was Tales from the Crypt older than the Hammer Horror era? If you mean the EC comics, yes. Hammer Horror comes in sort of very late 50s. I think 1957 or 58 is Curse of Frankenstein. So
EC Comics 56 is when they started getting in trouble with Congress and the courts because they wouldn't tone down the horror portion. Basically, the creators of Tales from the Crypt, the creators of EC Comics, told a judge literally, well, I'll tone it down since it's a family show. Told them to shove off in less polite terms.
Thank you. We've remained family friendly. We did it.
So they got in trouble, and then they put out the Comics Code of America. EC basically had to shut down most of their titles, and their educational and Bible and Western stories were about the only ones that survived for a while. And they're science fiction. But even that was a bit racy and gory for the comics code after a while.
Many such cases in science fiction. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, so
Yeah. I just seen the N Ribs comment. The Crypt Keeper sounds like a more masculine version of V.
You're gonna break out your V impression.
Oh my god.
No.
No.
all right.
Vegans!
Racismus! I don't understand what it's all about. Funny it is what it is. Racismus.
Scarily accurate, man. Good stuff. Listen, we love you, V. V actually a bit of a horror fan, but also he makes projects that are very unfamily friendly, and therefore I must disavow and preemptively kick. But no, yes. Oh, where were we? So so our Crypt Keeper is effectively a horror host. Something we've talked about before. That is a bit of a convention that grew up out of cable, where you would have a person in character acting as effectively an MC for upcoming horror films. Science fiction as well, but mostly horror is where it started, with Vampira being your first one. And that is a trend that sort of follows through, as sort of being, I guess, somewhat sublimated when you get into the horror anthology era, that you kind of have a wraparound being almost like a pseudo horror host. But then we break out fully into bringing back the horror host with something like The Creep, with something like The Crypt Keeper. It's sort of a return to form, as well as an establishment that you're going to get extreme schlock. Now, the fact that this was going out on HBO in 1989 meant that it had a lot more leeway than a lot of the stuff we've covered so far. So, not even covering movies, this had a fair bit more racy content. Do you think it would be fair to say?
Yeah. It's considering where one of the stories takes place. Yeah.
The very first episode of Tales from the Crypt with William Sadler, I'll note, a very familiar figure in the genre. And he was in Demon Knight as well, the first Tales from the Crypt movie. The very first episode, they find an excuse for him to go to a strip club. And I noticed that in one of the episodes we cover tonight, which was also a season premiere, they go back to a strip club. And now I kind of want to check each season premiere to see if they pull that same trick to help with the ratings.
Well, there's always Bordello of Blood, too. The less spoken about it, the better. But
yes, the failure to carry on the movies is baffling to me. So many things were meant to be a Tales from the Crypt movie, and then it was just dropped.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Dennis Miller basically stated he was tricked into doing it. He thought it would be fun, and he said it was a nightmare.
I think we might pass. There's a chance we're going to skip over. That one. I feel I should ask, TCG, what's your background with Tales from the Crypt?
Very, very minimal. Like I was aware of it, and I may have seen like one or two episodes in the past, but nothing that really sticks out in mind. I just sort of remember this being sort of on par with the likes of Goosebumps. Very sort of like I felt like it didn't sort of go all in on horror, but more it was certainly aimed at sort of like a younger audience. Like it was palatable for like adolescent, like teenagers and onwards.
Sorry, Mike. Do you mean the cartoon series?
No. I mean this.
Oh, okay.
I mean this. Like I felt like if I think Tales of the Crypt, again, I'm thinking sort of along the lines of like your Goosebumps, oh God, there was something else back in the day as well that I can't.
Are
quite
You
remember.
Afraid of the Dark?
That's the
That
one.
one?
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of think of it along the lines of those. It probably wasn't, but that's how I associate it.
Far more adult.
Yeah, I know that now after watching a few properly.
A bit adult, but also I think adolescent maybe is right, because it's
I mean,
it's enjoying it that they really like getting the boobs on the screen.
I mean that Demi Moore one. Whew. Oh, I tell you what, I mean, it is hot in this country at the moment, but the temperature did go up a degree or two, I tell you. Heat wave. Am I right?
Yeah.
That lace dress. Oof.
It was an interesting outfit, yeah. I should also point out in the history just a couple of more things about Tales from the Crypt. One, as already noted, who said it, that effectively everyone... it was John Gorris. There you go. Literally everyone in Hollywood seemed to have to pass through the crypt. Yep. Honestly, it's ridiculous how many major stars have been in Tales from the Crypt, and also not too far from when they blew up. It's quite amazing. Kind of the equivalent of Harry Potter, you know. In England, it's what is it? It's almost like community service or jury duty for RADA is the joke that describes it. It's not my own, alas.
Well, it got them in front of Robert Zemeckis and Ron Silver and Walter Hill. I mean, a good way of meeting big-time producers. So.
Definitely. Richard Donner as well. If that name may be familiar to you for Superman, it may be familiar to you for Lethal Weapon. But if you're around here, hopefully it's familiar to you for The Omen in 1976.
Yes. Which we covered on this channel, which you should go and check out after this stream.
We did. It's one of my favourite horrors, folks, if you want to see an old-time classic. I also want to mention, because I got confused when you were giving the answer, TCG, I thought, wait, does he mean the kids show, the Tales from the Crypt Keeper, which was an interesting decision.
That was a thing as well, wasn't it? That was a thing.
That was. Tell you what, I'll look for a little screen cap of that.
Yeah.
So we can enjoy it, because it's. I find it quite amazing that even happened.
I was going to say, was Tales from the Crypt Keeper like the same show as this, but just with an extra syllable?
Kid show, yes.
Just the kids equivalent. Okay.
Let me get that up for you so you can see the more family-friendly version of it. Where is it? There we go. Got it. Okay, give me a second, folks. I remember catching a couple of episodes of this when I was teeny tiny. But I remember it was a very awkward fit. And that, say, Are You Afraid of the Dark managed it a lot better. That sort of balance of trying to be a bit spooky without being too far, because you've got a kids' audience.
I tell you what, sorry, Soup Visual just says in the chat, will we see Goosebumps? If we were to ever do it, I think we should definitely do the one with Ryan Gosling in it, given that he's all the rage at the moment because of that Barbie movie.
Just for the memes.
Maybe we should do like a spooky kids show session. I mean, we're getting into the 90s. That's when they're all kicking off. Maybe we could do it.
We need to get into that YouTube Kids algorithm, don't we, Horror Show?
Oh,
God.
Oh dear. Giving us terrible ideas here. All right.
There were 5 more serial killers in the bed, and the little one said, "Roll over, roll over." Nursery rhymes. Come on, we can do it. We can get billions of views.
Flagged as Spider-Man versus Elsa.
God,
no, Elsagate.
I know, and you and I, Horror Show, we both know a few content creators that would be the first to jump on that bandwagon if we ended up somehow linked with that degeneracy. Jesus.
Oh yeah. Oh goodness me.
Fox Akimbo, Jessica, if you're watching this, look, we don't
love you,
endorse
Fox.
that. We love you guys.
Crikey. All right, alrighty. Let's get back to the good stuff. There is our familiar title screen, which is about as 90s as I can think. I mean, I love it.
Is that Gunge?
It's Gunge. That's right. It's like Dave Benson Phillips came in and designed it all.
Radioactive green and bright purple. Yep. That's the 90s.
That is, yeah, exactly. That is quintessential 90s.
Oh, it's absolutely. It's like they pureed the Riddler. Look at that. You love it. All right, good. The cheesiness of it. I mean, shall we take a moment just to talk about the amazing intro to this? Because it's one of the highlights of the show for me. Is that absolutely unforgettable intro?
The Danny Elfman music makes
It totally does. I'm hooked on it. I wish I could get an HD version of it. You know. Oh. But I can't. It's like the highest res I can get of this is like sort of early DVD quality. I don't know if anyone else has like HD stuff, because I would love to see the intro just in more than 2 pixels.
See, annoyingly, I don't think the one that the episodes I watched on YouTube had the intros. I don't think, but 2 of the 3 episodes, because 2 of the 3 episodes were HD quality, allegedly. That probably just means 480p, but they were definitely higher quality. In fact, I'm gonna have to go and check now myself. If it does have the if it does have the intro, I will link it to you so you can see it.
The ones I linked to in DMs, they were 480p, but they were better quality than that.
Yeah, you're totally legitimate copies that you paid for. Definitely, we must point that out. Screen
sharing your legitimate copies, after which we all donated to Build-A-Bear. I don't know.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah. Oh Eric. It's I don't know much more to say, but I find it quite iconic. I thought we'd maybe start with not exactly the order, but I thought we'd start off with the episode The Switch, which hang on. I need to ask about this. I thought only TCG would pick up a Dave Benson Phillips reference, but there's a Dave Benson Phillips rap album. If that's true, I need to know.
I am not surprised. I actually met Dave Benson Phillips.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, he was doing. He's a kids TV presenter from the 90s. He did shows like Get Your Own Bag, which is, or like, I think he did 50-50 as well. But Get Your Own Bag was a show where like a child would bring on an adult, usually a parent, sometimes a teacher, come up with some excuses as to why the adult is an absolute terror, and essentially they would bring them on the show in the hopes that they would win. The reward being they would get to gunge the adult. And that was my childhood, as I'm sure it was horror shows as well. But yeah, Dave Benson Phillips was, without wanting to sort of dox my location, when I was working for a company in the sort of town centre area, he was bowling around that area doing like some charity drive, and he came into our work and like basically started accosting the customers, trying to get money out of them.
Oh no, that's amazing.
You know, and he was a bit older then, you know, sort of like the sort of early. It was like 2014, 2015, you know. So he got on a bit. He was getting on a bit now, you know, from like the early, you know, from like the mid 90s. But he still had that proper energy and that laugh he did as well. Yeah, it was all there, Mr. Blobby Joe, yes, Mr. Blobby indeed. Oh my god, my absolute favourite. But yeah, I didn't know that Dave Benson Phillips did a rap album. I'm gonna have.
We need to look into it. We need to look into this. I didn't expect we got a deep law tangent. To anyone who's not a Brit of about, let's say, a certain age, I apologise for the extremely niche Brit posting. I thought we'd go with the episode The Switch. That's season 2, episode 2, and I basically went with that.
Sorry. No. Sorry, completely different thing. I started
Is it
searching
Benson
up Dave.
Phillips?
It's Dave Benson Phillips, right? But as I was typing out the name on the search bar, it came up with wrestling. So, Riptide Wrestling, possibly the greatest match ever. It's got Dave Benson Phillips in it too.
Can you send me a screenshot with
From
Dave Benson Phillips has hijacked this stream?
And the Dark Destroyer, aka Children's TV presenter. Oh, hang on.
Wait,
It's
is it Mr.
actually
Motivator?
it's actually him.
All right, send the screen cap.
I'm sending you the link. Oh my god. Hang on. It's really poor quality. Oh, that's so sad.
All right.
He's wearing a Pac-Man shirt.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Carry on.
I'm going to try and avoid the wrath of Super Nanny. If we, Murgoot, could you do me a favour and describe for people, in case they haven't done their homework, the plot of the episode The Switch? And I'm just going to look up Dave Benson Phillips quickly and see if I can share anything.
Isn't it amazing how we say the word gunge and we've just gone on a massive tangent about Dave Benson bloody Phillips, aka the Dark Destroyer?
It's him.
The ring announcer did say that he hasn't stepped foot in a ring inside phrasing for 30 years. So I'm wondering, did he wrestle?
It's actually him.
The
I'm
anti-fun
so
police.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Murgoot.
The anti-fun police. The channel this is on as well is called Dave Benson Phillips' Webby Telly TV. Oh my god. I can't believe it. The fight
I'm
that broke the
amazed by
internet.
it. With apologies, I'm just going to show this for a few seconds. Sorry, we'll get back to Tales from the Crypt any second, folks, but this is some Dave Benson Phillips we've got to cover here. I'm going to take off the audio. So you should be able to see that. Look at that. He's going to go. Look at him. Is this far too niche, anyone? No. This is relatable content.
Oh my
Zoomers
god.
love this stuff. They
Look at
absolutely love it. Oh, I'm so happy.
Oh mate.
All right.
Well, he's got the physique.
I'm going to stop. Okay, sorry.
Oh, my
Back to
days.
Tales from the Crypt. Corona Survivor has said. I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. Don't worry. These are fun tales. We will spoil them. It's the nature. It's full spoilers, but I think you can still enjoy these episodes even if you know the twists. But also, if you like the description of these episodes, there's over 100 of them. So you can watch the others. I've got to take Dave Benson Phillips away. He's completely distracted me. It's terrible. Anyway, yes. So if you like what you hear, you can watch one of the 100 other episodes, and you'll be absolutely fine. I personally am planning quite a few binges of this stuff because I've really been enjoying it. Okay, and it was very tough to choose which ones we went with, to be honest with you. Very tough to choose indeed. So I thought we'd start off with The Switch, which is adapted directly from original Tales from the Crypt. Murgoot, would you like to describe the plot of The Switch, please?
Okay, adapted from Tales from the Crypt, number 45. And William Hickey, a.k.a. Carlton Webster. You know him best as the grandfather from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, but he's been in a lot of things. Has fallen in love, has a crush on Kelly Preston's character, Linda. And he's a rich man who's masquerading as somebody without many means. And he dotes on Linda, and he tells his butler that he's going to ask her to marry him, but make sure she isn't a gold digger. And he goes to a plastic surgeon to look younger, and the plastic surgeon said, well, I can't make you look that young. So he goes and finds a discredited plastic surgeon. Played by Roy Brocksmith, who's been in a lot of different movies.
I didn't recognize him. He was new to me.
He's been in a lot in American television. He was no, he wasn't. That was a different actor. I was gonna say the eunuch in Nightbreed, but no, he wasn't. But anyway, he goes to this discredited mad scientist doctor who says, yes, I can do a face transplant. I've got Hans here. He's a refugee from Eastern Europe, and he's willing to do it for $1 million. And so he goes through and does the face transplant.
There's our boy Hans.
He and then goes back to Linda and says, well, I'm looking younger now. Would you please accept? No. That's kind of creepy that you did that for me. But I want somebody younger. And he goes back to the doctor and can we do something else to make me younger? And yes, I can do a torso change. Goes through the operation, and at this point it kind of drags out, doing all the surgery twiddles and all the machines. Comes back and they go to the beach, and she's rather affectionate, and then he comes out after changing into his swimsuit, and you just see his old man stick legs under the bottom of the swinging doors, and she freaks out. He goes back and, well, it'll be $5 million to get the legs. Does that, and but it's basically bankrupted him. He's had to lay off his butler of many, many, many years. And he asks her to marry him again, and no, you don't have any money. And he goes back and tries to find her again, and she's moved to a luxury apartment. And come to find out, Hans in his body, his old body, has married her, and Linda's just married him for his money. And they just laugh at him.
The lesson is women are gold-digging, shallow...
Well, that's kind of the plot for this week's shows.
It's quite... I think I got one where it's not calling women gold-digging Jezebels. You know, one of the three isn't about that.
Well, all three are evil women, so...
I think it's important to have a sort of theme, you know, thematic consistency. Yes, well recounted there. It's kind of your classic EC format, isn't it? Sort of, You've got a dilemma. You maybe go a bit weird in seeking it. You go outside the moral constraints. It takes you to a weird place, and ultimately you get your ironic comeuppance. That is a classic EC comic format that they went to over and over again in this.
Yeah. Also, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the producer and director of this, and he took over from the Crypt Keeper and had the Crypt Keeper exercising with skull and bones bench presses. That was kind of amusing in a ha-ha sort of way.
I had to do it. I mean, I'll be honest. I chose this because I thought TCG would love seeing some vintage Arnie.
You know I would. I'm so sorry, but what? Oh my god, I'm sorry. I've got this Dave Benson Phillips wrestling match on in the background on the side screen, and so far he's done the Bronco Buster, which for those who don't know is where someone is sort of sat down in the corner, and then you run towards them and you go spread eagle and you start bouncing on top of them. He's done a choke slam. He's gunged somebody. And he's just poured what I can only he's poured what I can only assume is either gunge or some sort of lubricant down somebody's leotards, and then they've put him into a tombstone pile driver position, but put that person's head in the undergarments. This is insane. But yes, I love Arnie. He's a huge favourite of mine. Especially in the 90s. He's just gunned someone again. In the 90s, he was somebody who he was my top actor, my favourite actor. I'll tell you what, I was disappointed that he didn't feature in the episode that he directed. But that being said, I didn't think he did a bad job as a director.
No,
I don't think it stands out from, say, any of the other episodes in terms of like a poor quality direction. I think it fits really well.
Yeah, I thought it was quite good actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know he got the hang of it. You know, he got me wondering, has he directed much more?
That's
a great question.
Because it surprised me.
Mr. Jenny Benevolent just asked if we can watch the match with us. Sorry, Proper Chew, the match sounds too enticing to keep on Crypt Keeper. I'll tell you what I will do if I can get away with it. I might do, because I've got a live channel. I might do a live reaction to it if you guys want to join me on that.
I think we need to.
We're gonna have to. Anyway, I don't want to watch any more of it. Right, get away.
Yeah. Well, Arnie did do a lot of self-direction and improv on almost all of his later movies. So
interesting. Yeah, just I like that it's just him not taking himself seriously. I love it. Oh man, he fits it so well.
Yeah, but I think he was. It was around this because was this 1990? This particular one.
This was just 1990. So it was season 2, episode 2.
So we've not had T2 yet. But
we've not had T2, but he's a big star at this point, surely.
And it wasn't long after that. Absolutely, 100%. But it wasn't long after this, then presumably, that he started doing films like Junior, Kindergarten Cop. He did sort of take that route. I mean, it is consistent with Arnie that he wouldn't take himself that serious. I mean, Jingle All the Way is perhaps my favourite Christmas film of like the mid 90s. Obviously, not Home Alone is number one, but that's like early 90s. But yeah, I mean, it's quite cool to see Arnie sort of not take himself seriously, which, as I say, is in line with him.
It's very nice. There's a couple of other features that stood out to me from this that I thought were quite fun. As a bit of a clever money-saving measure, I don't know if you picked up on this, but the Evil Scientist Lab is just the Crypt Keeper set.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I thought that was genius. Yeah, you just set him up in his underground lab, and it's just slightly convert the Crypt Keeper set for it. We've got a slightly different angle on it where it's a bit more clear. And Arnie's also bringing in this look that is, again, if you remember Creepshow, it's sort of an homage to the lighting of, say, giallo films like Suspiria, but it's also an homage to those really strong color palettes of the EC comics, and they bring it in here a lot. Every one of these episodes uses this kind of lighting where you've got a strong, often a blue and then a red accent to really make it stand out, look a bit weird.
Four-color comic style.
Full color comics, yes.
Did anybody notice the bit of foreshadowing prior to the first stop when the Mad Doctor turns round to the old geezer and he says to him, "You'll keep your brain." Because by the end of it, that's the only thing he's got left.
Yeah, there's the dark sense of humor running through this is just quintessential Tales from the Crypt. You know, when I mean, you know what I'm going to reference here. When he goes to get his legs transplanted.
Oh yeah,
and the doctor's talking about you know, $1 million per limb, and there's a third limb that needs to go, and he's obviously slicing up a great big bratwurst there.
Yeah.
You sly dog, you. But yes, it's all very pulp, and I quite loved it. It's
Did he say "you sly dog"?
I don't think he did. No,
Ah.
that's just more me. That's just
Okay.
think of that. I mean, this doctor is a big caricature. It's all very.
Because I did just think to myself, if Arnie directed this and the words "you sly dog" were thrown in there, I'm thinking, was that a would that have been like an underhanded jibe at Stallone?
Oh, oh, you have to remember, yeah, we're in 90s land here. Those are the references we've got to look out for.
Yeah.
That's right. Roy Brocksmith, the Mad Doctor. He was in Total Recall, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey,
Yes.
Arachnophobia.
That's right. Yep.
We haven't said as much about the object of his affection. I mean, we don't seem to really. There's not too much questioning about why. I'm sorry. It's Kelly Preston, and her character name I've forgotten. What's her name? Linda.
Linda.
There we go. Sorry. Linda is the object of his affection. It's. I mean, you do wonder how they even meet up. It's a sort of. It's an odd thing to start with when they have such an age difference. But bless her, she does say it from the off. But Kelly Preston, I was sure was in Baywatch. That's what I'd got in my head. Turns out she was not. I think her Hawaii Five-0 is what she was in. She was also married to John Travolta.
Very good.
Yeah. Doesn't have much to do in this episode, to be fair, but she's quite fun with it. I think she quite enjoys just being a heel, really, isn't she?
Yeah, do you know what? These first two episodes that you picked, essentially to me, just boiled down to the downfalls of being a simp.
Yes.
You know, so if you take the simp pill, and you know you go down that rabbit hole, eventually you will be you'll have no money, you'll have your wiener chopped off, and she'll only leave you for some other guy anyway, or she'll already be married.
Yeah, it's how can I say? You remember how when we covered Alfred Hitchcock Presents, he sort of had to do a last minute swerve to sort of assure you that the story was moral.
Yeah. Oh God, which one was that? The
very first one he talks about? Now, of course, the man went to jail, of course, and served his sentence, and it was just just to reassure the senses, yes, justice was done, and this is a fine, upstanding, moral series. But really, he was letting you know that he was being made to say that.
Yeah.
You kind of have a feeling like that in this tale. There is a morality here that you shouldn't do this big change for love and etc. etc. You should be honest from the start. But there is a very sly wink running through all this.
100%.
There's another thing that I quite liked in that, again, it's to Arnie's credit that the guy they cast, Hans, that he had, you know, he's pretty German coded, right? Arnie decides to have like this peak physical specimen is basically a German guy who's a bit thick. And I think he's having a bit of fun with his own public image there.
Rick Rossovich is the actor's name.
Rick Rossovich, okay. He did a really good job as well, just sort of playing slightly gormless. I really enjoyed him.
It was like they picked him off the street. Just stand him.
He just looked so delightfully bemused. He cracked me up.
It does seem like a weird trade-off though, because obviously as the film's going on, he's obviously losing more of himself and getting more of this old geezer, and it does seem like a weird trade-off. You get, what was it, $6 million?
It's a crazy amount.
Yeah, in exchange.
But somehow he had it.
Yeah, in exchange for years off your life. I mean, I don't know. Chat, is that something you would do? Would you go from the body of a 30-year-old to the body of an 80-year-old if it meant you had $6 million? I mean, it's not exactly the Steve Austin kind of $6 million end result that you'd hope for.
It's niche references all around tonight, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I mean, nowadays it would be Sheev Austin.
True.
Don't worry. If I ever buy Starfield, Stone Cold Sheev Austin will be my character.
Oh. Let's not get into that debate.
I'm absolutely not. I'm just cracking a funny. Moving on.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have as much to say about this. I find this just good fun.
Yeah, it was. It was. It really was. I mean, like you say, there's not really much you can say. It was just this guy's hopelessly in love. Massive levels of simp detected. And he was just prepared to throw everything away just for some, like, the fact that he was like, oh, I'm on my last $3 million, and like, and like he didn't think about it. Like he thought that she would be superficial about it, like, because she was saying she doesn't like him for his looks, and he did say at the very beginning, I don't want to tell her that I'm rich because I don't want her to love me for my money. I want her to love me for me, but I'm going to change my entire body. Whenever she says, look at you, you're old. Oh my God, what's going on with your legs? Oh my God, when was the last time that got up?
Oh no.
Yeah, and then in the end, it was all about the money.
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain amount of screenwriter brain in there as well. Like, let's say, it's a thing I'm a little obsessed with, is just like the stereotypical screenwriter, and when you see their mindset sneaking into a film, like this idea of like the clever man who's just not appreciated, whereas this damn Chad, damn it Chad, why are you so musty and successful? Grr.
Yeah.
The fact that he set himself in opposition to that, I don't know. I see a little bit of screenwriter brain in that.
I also love the fact that at the end, this bit here, you've got the old geezer who is now, the young man who is now the old man with $6 million. It's literally like they just swapped lives. They face offed, basically. That's what they've done. They face offed. Speaking of John Travolta, tie it all in. Yeah, they've just faced off. But the thing is, he's laughing in his face. Now, if I was the old geezer who is now like who now has the physique of a bodybuilder, I'd be smashing him in, because you've blatantly
take his money.
Conned. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, when we're talking fun casting, there was a casting in this. I wondered if you noticed one of the really minor characters. I had one of those like Leo pointing at the screen moments. Did you notice?
Mark Pellegrino is one of the gangbangers.
Yeah.
Who?
He played Lucifer in...
No, I know who. Oh, Mark Pellegrino.
Yeah, he was one of the punks.
No way.
Yeah. It's like absolutely randomly. It's Mark Pellegrino.
Paul
So
from
everyone
Dexter
has,
as well.
Yeah, everyone has been in this. every single person in Hollywood has been in the show.
Bloody hell.
I see chat is exchanging euphemisms for gents of a let's say what is it, Matachian nature. I would also has anyone said light in the loafers? I always like light in the loafers. I think that's a nice one. Tegan and Sarah appreciator should also be in there. Anyway,
oh my
God,
god,
I'm glad chat is having fun.
That is mental. That is literally right. The American equivalent of Jake Wood in Only Fools and Horses.
Hang on, Jake Wood?
Jake Wood played Max Branning in EastEnders.
Oh, I don't know it.
Don't worry. But basically, he obviously quite a big name in like the soap circles. But yeah, he appeared as a mugger. I think it was in. Oh no, actually no. I think it might have been One Foot in the Grave. Either way, he was in a sitcom, BBC's sitcom, playing a little hooligan, just like our good buddy Mark Pellegrino.
Amazing. I didn't know the actor, but I do love these the random occurrences, like Ryan Gosling. In Goosebumps. Or what's his name?
It was
Hayden, Darth Vader. Hayden Christensen in The Mouth of Madness. Anyway, sorry, I should move on, but we'll do scores at the end. But did anyone have any additional observations about this one?
No, I just enjoyed it.
All right,
It was
fantastic.
amusing.
It's a simple story. It's very quick. I think they also they indulged in some of the surgery scenes, I think, to kind of pad it out a bit, because it's a very simple story, but I won't begrudge them that. Anyway, right, I will move us on to our next episode. Dave Benson Phillips was a downfall, guys. He I'll move us to the side there, and I'll adjust that a tiny bit. There we go. Let's work with that so we can all appreciate the full panel. Something I absolutely love in Tales from the Crypt is that they have these faux comic book covers for each one of the episodes, and I just think they look so good. All right. TCG, would you like to do the quick summary of our second episode, which I think would be Season 4, Episode 7, The New Arrival?
Radio DJ. Show is under threat because who is it? It's the T1000's ratings are just going through the roof.
Oh, I've got him. I've got him right here. Here he is.
You know, when he was doing reconnaissance.
Bless you, Robert Patrick.
And they have this
jock, yeah.
They have this recurring caller, I think it is, who speaks to the old man DJ, who's like a psychologist or whatever, and they agree to do a house visit, and so they go to this house. The reason why they've gone there, is because this mother is at her wit's end. Her child is just very, very naughty, and she just basically needs help. And so they go there. I don't want to give away too much, but in a sense, in summary, they go there, and all is not what as it seems. The child in question seems to be wearing almost like a doll's style dress, and wears this creepy as heck white mask. But the mother as well, the lady on the right here that you can see on screen, is about the same height and has the same sort of figure. And you put 2 and 2 together, and you still come up with bloody 5. Because I thought to myself, I'm going to be smug here, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've figured it out already. No, it's bloody wrong. Curveballed me big time. Well annoyed.
It is one of those ones where you're like, okay, there's a twist. what's the twist going to be? And you start running through what the twists might be.
Yeah.
Like, is it the obvious one that she is that the daughter's in her head, or etc.? I felt like I was playing whack-a-mole with the twists.
I mean, you because you're not seeing them in the same room together. Like that, you see the mother like here, the daughter's upstairs, locked away in a room, and then you start seeing the girl, but then the mum's not around, and it's just like you kind of think, oh, okay, I see what's going on here, and then no, I mean that is freaky, man. That is just.
It is creepy.
That is disturbing.
I thought
it feels even creepier.
There are so many episodes of this, so I've only seen about 25 of them. So there's a load of not, and I just had a look through scariest episode, and a few lists threw this up, and I was like, oh, it sounds good. And also, it had David Warner in, so I thought, well, that's a winner. I thought you might appreciate David Warner, Murgoot.
Yes, David Warner and Zelda Rubinstein as Nora, the mother.
Classic.
Zelda Rubinstein, classic performance in Poltergeist, escalated her fame in the movie world.
Oh, sorry.
Just her role as the medium in Poltergeist put her over the top. Favorite character in the franchise.
It's an absolutely iconic role. And you can see Zelda Rubinstein in what I believe is her last film before she passed in 2010, which is Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, which is a very meta, in a very clever way, horror film. I've tried to get us to cover it on this stream a few times, but every time I suggest a meta horror arc, it loses. No one votes for it ever. I've tried twice.
Joe just says, call it TCG or I'll call the ADL. I'll remind Jonathan Greenblatt that my grandfather actually was around at the time when the Germans were persecuting the Jews. And, he wasn't on the winning side, well, actually, no, hang on. When I say the winning side, I mean the side of the 6 million, shall we say. That's the side he was on. So he can try, and I will pull out the card. Don't worry. I'm cool. I don't even know why he would, but... but no, I tell you what, though. I mean, this was quite freaky. That I mean, the whole masks thing does sort of get to you, and like it's very sort of unnatural, unnerving. Like I say, it's very doll-like, It gives you that massive uncanny valley vibes. I mean, if the mask itself, as well. I mean, it's got that whole Michael Myers vibe, as well. Just that plain white mask with the with the black. The eyes, the holes where the eyes would go, where no light is going in, so it just looks like pure black. And she's about 3'11" as well. It's just weird. And like when she was like
doorbell, the electrified doorknob.
Oh yeah, that as well. Yeah.
A little bit Home Alone brought into that one.
And what was with the gunge? I mean, had Dave Benson Phillips been there earlier?
Oh wait, do you mean the gunge in the hallway?
Yeah. Because there's one bit and I thought it was pretty funny, right? It's because they keep getting their hands shocked, and then like one of the women who was there with the guy just literally just yanks some like gunge off this wall, slaps it on the door, the doorknob, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "So I don't get shocked," or something like that.
It was that was a weirdly good bit of writing in this episode. You find out when they first get in the house that I just want to call her Zelda. It's Nora, isn't it? Nora basically uses chewing gum as the go-to bribe.
Oh, it's chewing gum, right? Okay.
Yeah. And then they turned it. They just sort of built on the logic of that there's just a hallway absolutely full of it.
I am. Do you know what? As well, I'm absolutely convinced that girl was not responsible for all that chewing gum, because that chewing gum is placed in areas where she can't reach. Come on. What's she doing? Like
it right?
Walking around chewing gum with a stepladder.
It's a weird scene. I mean, it's a great image of chaos, and it's also just it starts that ick factor going. You know?
Yeah.
That's just sort of, ugh.
Yeah. The layout of that house, is that house the set that they used for People Under the Stairs?
I'm not sure. I mean, it felt familiar, but I couldn't place it.
I know
Maybe it's just
it's-
quite generic.
I know that hallway and the rooms were used in Supernatural for several of the hotel scenes.
Hmm.
Hang on. What? Oh, you mean the one?
Set. The one when they meet up with Metatron
Oh,
and then
okay.
a couple others.
Oh, like it's just a go-to set that they can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, what was that, mate? Sorry, I was reading Joe's comment there. I heard
The set.
Supernatural Metatron. I'm literally on that season 10 at the moment.
Yeah.
I was just about whether this set was reused for that it's just a standard set
Oh, I
that
see.
they got
okay.
to decorate, so it will have been used in Supernatural. But well, maybe
And
that's why
parts
it
of
was
the
so
house in
familiar.
this hallway looked like it was the set used in People Under the Stairs.
Right. I was okay. I'm assuming that's one of the episodes we didn't watch.
No,
People
that's a
Under the
Wes Craven
Stairs
film.
is a Wes Craven movie.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
I'm not sure. I mean, it just looks. I think it looks a bit generic. I think it would be quite easy to make this up as a set, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure where I would find that. But yeah, they're going investigating. We're all basically watching this, thinking, okay, what's the twist? We're going to see the twist, and then the producer, who's a bit of a pain in the bum, gets off first when the party separates for very poor reasons. Then David Warner's assistant, played oddly enough by Twiggy, which may not mean much to Zoomers, but that was a weird turn up for a Brit to see as a bit of a former it girl.
She's an 70s era it girl model.
Yeah,
Friend of Andy Warhol.
I thought she was pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed what she did in this. She was very fun. I got a bit of a double Brit bonus in that one, but her death was wonderfully ridiculous. I don't think I've got an image of it. It doesn't make any sense for half a second, but you have to realize we're in full schlock territory here. It is not meant to be taken particularly seriously. They are just having fun with horror tropes and being ridiculous, which is why no one really notices that the producer ends up separating, or that she even decides to separate in the first place. No one worries about it. No one worries how they managed to drag this person up into the attic, down the side stairs, and then put her corpse in the bedroom, you know. So if you've accepted that, it should be fine that Twiggy gets decapitated by a lowering ceiling fan.
I love this image where they're using the jump rope as the tie downs on.
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah.
Do you feel a little bit bad when he starts like throttling her, and then the big reveal is actually it's not the mother?
Yeah.
Like the kid's on the floor like. I felt a little bit bad for her.
Twist.
Yeah, I was feeling a little bit bad for her, and then obviously like they turn him around, and then there's like all the other doctors that have been there over the years.
Your sympathy sort of goes on a bit of a journey here, I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, he's also sounding really, really creepy when he does it.
I know.
You know, talking to the girl, and he's like, "Come on, sit on my lap, and why don't you untie me, and I can give you a hug."
Yeah, that was really off-putting, man.
I'm just thinking, given the character he played in Straw Dogs, bad luck, very bad look.
I've not seen that, but I'm guessing he was. I'm getting the word.
Yeah.
Okay.
BBC employee.
Ah, yes.
Yes. Oh, dear. But again, at this point, I didn't know. My go-to theory at this point, well, it's a waifu as well, she was saying, when Nora had talked about something quite far, like World War II, basically still being present, which isn't a based comment about popular entertainment. I thought that was a hint that actually Nora was the daughter, and that the she was the daughter grown up and believing she was the mother, but having a child's understanding of that. That's what I thought. But I was wrong. I mean, what twist were you guessing at this point?
Well, for me, as I say, I thought the mum and the daughter were one and the same, and she was just like having some sort of split personality psychosis. Because that's the thing, because that's what they determined. But the thing is, when they determined that, I was kind of like, oh, now they've said that, it might not be. But it's kind of like one of those things. You final answer, you're locked in now, so just see what happens, and then it's a zombie. So okay.
Yeah, I knew going in, even when I first saw it, that it wasn't going to be the Norman Bates reveal. There was another twist somewhere.
I mean, we will get the reveal, but I just do want to give them credit. This is creepy imagery. This is actual creepy imagery. So kudos to that. But,
it's haunting on multiple fronts. Now that you mentioned the whole. Come and sit on my lap, little. No, I'm not going to say. I do not want to be clipped, but but yeah, I mean, it is a very, very odd interaction that does give you sort of Jim will fix it vibes.
Maybe I don't know. I do have screen caps for the reveal, but it doesn't look particularly good. I don't know if we want to just sort of leave it.
And he's like sweating, smiling, eyes bulging when he's like asking her to come over.
It doesn't look good, does it? It doesn't look good.
Nah.
Well, I said we will spoil the whole thing, so it's fine. Our actual solution is, well, it doesn't really make any sense. We've had some setup for it.
Felicity's her reanimated daughter. Whether zombie or revenant, I don't know, but that reveal was,
yeah.
The makeup is not good.
It's not good. I mean, like you see the kid, or it's not kid, but you see the actor's mouth or jaw move, and like the whole sort of mask lower end like moves with it. It's kind of like no. Okay. I was like, oh, it's a zombie. Oh, right. Okay. Are they gonna what?
The closest we get is Nora has always been a tinkerer, which is why there's all sorts of mechanisms around and electricity wired up to the doorknobs and all that business. It's not much of an explanation for why her daughter is resurrected, but it's mostly to set up a slightly more satisfying payoff, which is just when they realize earlier that she's kind of got a whole library of childcare books, of child psychology books. It's a nice setup for
child psychologists.
Yep, it's called The New Arrival because David Warner is going to be the latest child psychologist to be basically kept hostage to help fix Felicity, and the others have sadly all failed.
But like, what are you trying to fix? Like, I get it. Oh, my daughter's dead, but she's not because she's reanimated. There she is. I mean, okay, yeah, she looks a bit, crinkly. She looks like she's been left out in the sun for too long to dry up. But I mean, what are you aiming? Like, what exactly? Like, are you? Sure, you get a diagnosis. I can diagnose this. Your daughter's a zombie. Oh right, how'd you cure that? Oh, bullet to the head. Like, what do you want? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? I tell you what, I know a guy. Okay, you might have seen him around in Total Recall, and season 2 episode Arnold knows him. He's a good guy. He can whip her. He can put your daughter into a bodybuilder. How does that sound?
Oh, dear. Yeah, I think if we're honest, the story for this really does not make any sense. It's set up to deliver some big payoffs, but it is cheating like heck to get them there. Like, including the most egregious one is the thrust of the story is David Warner's taking this risk so that he can beat his rival at the radio station, the unforgettable Robert Patrick, having a gay old time. And
Ignore the child.
yeah they have him tied down, with Felicity skipping around, and Nora's like, I'll leave you to get acquainted. I'll put the radio on. All they wanted was that ending of him tied up, helpless, facing doom, with his rival talking over him, like trying to get him in this perfect agony, like total defeat for him. And they really do stretch things to get there. Like, Nora really doesn't have a reason to leave the radio on if she wants Felicity to get acquainted with him. Am I expecting too much here? Am I overthinking it?
I actually thought it was quite disturbing.
Oh
Yeah.
I thought it was definitely disturbing, and his own technique comes back to kind of not haunt him, but he refers back to his old technique of the old ignore, which I thought was a pretty nice touch.
yeah, it's a powerful ending, but my goodness, it does cheat to get there. Although I think you're just having too much fun. The fact that this is like a 24-minute episode really helps, because it doesn't drag out. I just got this on screen because I absolutely love this psychologist skeleton prop here. It just cracks me up.
Still holding the pipe in his teeth.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Folks, did you have anything else to say on the new arrival?
Only that it was worth it for David Warner and Zelda Rubinstein.
They do absolutely make it worth it, yes. It's extremely hammy. It's good fun. How about yourself, TCG?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a bit of fun. Typical schlock.
That's it. Glorious schlock.
Yes.
And hang on. The NREAB's dropped something interesting.
Oh.
Look at this.
More members.
The director of this was Peter Madak, who directed The Changeling.
Oh.
Changeling is a 1980s horror going quite gentle and low-key. It was really, really good. I watched that recently. I was extremely impressed by it. Is it George C. Scott is in it? There's the main star. Really great little movie. Had quite an impact on the Silent Hill movies, I gather. Sort of the imagery around a wheelchair in a haunting. Yeah. That's really interesting.
There you go.
Well, hey, good catch, NREAB. Good catch. Okay, going on to our final one. This was one I picked purely for myself. This is a bit of a favourite.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, of course, because you had us in consideration as well, and I appreciate it.
It's one I remember from way, way back. I think this was about the first episode of Tales from the Crypt I ever saw.
Right.
I mean, I rented it on a VHS that had 3 episodes on. Yeah, I mean, what a rip-off, really. They could easily get 5 on a tape, but you remember that stuff back in the days. They used to really stretch it.
Yeah. I'm guessing that copy got delivered back late, I assume. Very late.
I can tell you, I rented it in 1997.
And it's on your shelf today.
No. I rented
Worn
it from
out.
my local Blockbuster.
Worn out from the amount of times you've watched it, rewound
Oh,
it, watched
dear,
it, rewound
dear,
it,
dear.
watched it, rewound it.
Dear.
Stretch the tape with the
I'm only projecting.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Like so many copies of was it Wild Things, just absolutely worn up out at one scene in particular.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
dear.
Times at Ridgemont High, Phoebe.
Oh. Blockbuster should have just had it pre-wound to that scene. Just like, I know what you want. Let's save you the bother. So this
Sharon
is
Stone and Little Trash. No, Little Trash.
Basic Instinct. That's
Basic
the one.
Instinct. Yeah.
Terrible. Obviously, I disavow all of this. You should appreciate the art as a whole. As
Well.
you know, as a gestalt.
Well, appreciate the art of a whole.
Oh dear. I thought we'd got past the gunge talk here, guys.
I didn't say it. That current guy said it.
I'm only repeating back what Proper Horror Show said.
So,
I mean, we can appreciate that.
Tales from the Crypt, Season 2, Episode 1, Dead Right. This, I love this one. This is, again, I feel like one of the ones I would point people to if I wanted them to get a feel of what this is at its best. Marina, we are not on track tonight at all. We can't stay on topic. It's the heat. It's doing something to us.
It's the heat, Dave Benson Phillips and Demi Moore.
This is the, so it's a season opener. They're going big. They want to make a big impression. They're leading strong, which is why, obviously, they go to a strip club repeatedly in this episode. HBO knows its audience. They're also going back to a classic story. I mean, all of these are drawn from the various EC comics that they drew inspiration from. In this case, shock suspense stories. But it's, again, your classic tale. That sort of twisted morality is in there. Technically, we're delivering a good moral lesson, but mostly we're there for the dark humour and the little bit of schadenfreude that's built into it. You've got a strong star in this. You've got Demi Moore, who I think was just about to go into Ghost or had filmed Ghost at the time of this.
Right.
If it's 1990, so she was big property.
Did she have short hair in that film? I can't remember. In Ghost.
She did.
Yeah. Because I did wonder whether like the hair was short in this because of that, whether she just because the timing was around about the same time. So I thought, maybe it was short because of that.
Yeah, I believe it is. I think you're right.
You know, like how they had to had to CGI out Henry Cavill's moustache because he was off filming. I think it was about Mission Impossible.
Yeah, it was a Mission Impossible one that had done it. Yes, cast hairstyles. It can cause loads of trouble. In fact, do you remember our good friend The Craft, the original?
Yes.
Well, in that one, the main character, Robin Tunney, is wearing she's wearing a wig the whole time because she had to shave her head completely for Empire Records,
right.
Starring a young Liv Tyler and Renee Zellweger.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
We can't stay on topic.
No.
Oh dear.
I tell you what, should we just sack this off? Let's just load up the Dave Benson Phillips wrestling match and just give the chat what they really want. I mean, should we just do that?
I think we've got plenty in here that chat will really enjoy. You know.
Yeah. No. Of course.
Yeah.
Cute doggo as well. Very cute doggo.
Called Trotsky.
Yes.
I enjoyed that. I found that really funny.
Yeah, that was quite funny.
The dog steals every scene he's in.
Oh, he's great. It's just
Because apparently every Eastern European with a dog named it Trotsky, just because, you know.
Well, I enjoyed it. I love when she first comes in and Trotsky's set up in this weird, like, obvious HMV reference. Like, he's set up to look just like that. I thought that was brilliant. The sort of implication that she's going to be taking the lead from our fortune teller here.
Yeah.
Well, we're being called out here.
Behave, everyone. Now let's talk about Demi Moore.
Oh dearie me. Right. So, if you have not seen it, this is the classic tale. This is, for me, this is Tales from the Crypt at its best. Dark morality tale in there. Demi Moore is starring as a character whose name I can't remember. I just think Demi Moore. That's all I remembered. That's all I was going with. Do you remember the name? You remember the name. That's it. Kathy Finch. There we go. Okay. So, Demi Moore stars as Kathy Finch, a fairly, I guess, disruptive, dissatisfied character. She doesn't come from money. She's a bit, I guess, surly, really. And she's just wanting to move up in the world. On an off chance, on a lunch break, she goes and visits this fortune teller, Madame Warner, who effectively makes a good prediction. Let's do the whole thing quickly. She goes in. She's not really believing Madame Warner, but she goes in on a whim, and Madame Warner tells her that she's going to lose her job and get another one in the same afternoon. And when this comes to pass, suddenly we have the buy-in, you know. Kathy's starting to believe Madame Warner, and then she gets the fortune telling that she really wants. She hears that she's going to get money. And that's what she really wants. That's the source of security she wants. She doesn't work high-end jobs. You can tell that she's never come from money. She says as much. And she wants that money. She wants that security, but also a little bit of a gold digger. Madame Warner tells her that she'll marry a guy. She's not going to like him. But shortly after she marries him, he's going to inherit a huge amount of money and then die a violent death. And it's that promise that convinces Demi Moore to give him a go. That man ends up being Charlie Marno. Now I'm going to get a photo of Charlie Marno up. Charlie was played by Jeffrey Tambor. Oh, I shouldn't have chosen one from inside the strip club. We might be okay. Here's Charlie. Here's Charlie. I've had to do some censoring of that, I'm afraid. Sorry, HBO.
Why would you censor that? She's got tassels on.
I don't know what YouTube's gonna do.
You know, the tassels act as Britishers. They're fine.
Basically, mini Britishers. I always forget to bring the Britishers back.
Yes.
Oh man, it's not exactly a match made in heaven. He's very persistent. He's very creepy, which makes her even less willing to go through with it, and adds to the comedy factor.
Well, again, he is the personification of a simp. Absolutely desperate. I mean,
suit is just hell to wear, I bet.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd have been completely roasting. He would have been absolutely roasting, and Jeffrey Tambor leans into it. They've made him up quite a bit to.
A bit. I mean...
a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't say he's a standout handsome chap, but they have exaggerated.
The jowls and the gut and the butt.
I've got a side shot where we've got a bit more of it, and you see that they really have put a massive suit onto him. It's the episode really does sort of fiddle with the grotesque here because it's they're aware that it's quite difficult to watch him pouring at her. And there's a dark humor to it, but it's also genuinely kind of gross, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Like, it is really bad. But at the same time, I mean, she is just... Well, Joe says she got Weinstein, but I mean, the
She's
thing
an
is,
unpleasant character.
she's she's doing this for her own selfish reasons. She's not being coerced into it at all. She's basically being incentivized by the promise of wealth, and she isn't. Obviously, I mean, if you haven't guessed already, chat, love isn't the driving force behind this marriage. I mean, just yeah. It's like when they shared their first kiss, because this is before they get married. They kiss, and then he leaves, and you instantly see her go to the kitchen and just throw up. Oh God!
And she actually had something to throw up. Like, they didn't just have her mime it. She actually had.
That's it. Yeah.
It does. It's very dark. I mean, she's not a nice character at all, but it's very unpleasant. I mean,
it's a massive juxtaposition, though, isn't it? I mean, you've got this fat, sweaty, greasy, overweight, balding, respiratory struggling geezer against arguably one of the most beautiful women in the night, in that time era, and it's kind of like,
yeah, it's like, it makes it a tough one. Anyway,
Joe, sorry, man, Joe, she wasn't exploited. She was the exploiter. She was exploiting him. But then,
she was going for the easy money.
Yeah, but do you know what? I will say this. I mean, she initially made it very clear that she wasn't interested in this guy, and he kept persisting. Now, playing hard to get. No, no. But it was only obviously when she got told, oh yeah, by the way, you're going to marry a guy who's broke now, but you'll get money later, that she realised, oh, hang on a minute, this is probably the guy. But then, like, she had the choice at that moment. Do I control my own destiny and maybe wait a little while, or do I invest now?
I guess the thing is, I was going to say, I have a reading of this very similar to Joe. Like, I don't know if they intended it, but there's something extremely casting couch about this, that you've got this sort of poor, sort of, I guess, Midwestern accent. Murgoot, where do you place the accent?
I'm sorry, I don't agree that she was poor. I mean, she had a job. She just wasn't satisfied with her life.
She has a basic job, and she was very happy to just pick up a waitressing job. But she's not on the high life. She's not a great person. But no. And I also think in the Weinstein situation, I'm getting myself into trouble here, but I don't take the narrative that the actresses are 100% innocent either. I think they. Yeah. In a lot of cases, in this dark, horrible grey area of that, they were doing a similar thing.
That's the interesting thing. They did try and Me Too Jeffrey Tambor. And
they did.
He worked his way through it, basically. He's still working.
The end we had pretty much echoes what I think. They are both equally disgusting characters. I mean, you've got Demi Moore, who is quite happy to abuse this guy's affections in exchange for the guarantee of money, whereas you've got him who is just take no for a freaking answer, man. She ain't interested in you. And it's like, especially like when she does eventually get the money, and the guy's so delusional, because once she gets the money, she comes back, she's saying the most horrible things to him, right? And yet he's still like, oh, but I thought you loved me. It's like, at what point do you think that she genuinely loved you, mate? There was no point. She told you she wasn't interested from the get-go. She gave you size 10 hints that, she was in it for the money, because she was asking about your family, and she, what they were doing, and, whether, there was potential for you to get like a windfall in case anything happened to him. It's like, what the hell are you doing, man? Like you're proper delusional, dude. Like, yeah. yeah, I think they're both. I think they're both equally responsible in their own sort of selfish goals, but yeah, like, dude,
They both get what they deserve.
I mean, I suppose, yeah. I mean, he does. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he does. He does kill her in the end, but I mean,
And the state kills him in the end.
yeah.
I think that's what makes it quite applicable to the Weinstein situation. Like, no one's an angel here in this one, but like, it's a grim situation, and I'm just really, I just thought of Madame Zorna. Just made me think of like some kind of casting agent, some insider who's like connecting her to the bigwigs. You know, yeah, you put up with it, and you'll get your money. And I just thought, ooh, there. So I just got that sort of linkage just really made me think of that. Especially with the fact that Madame Zorna has that sort of, in this analogy, that inside knowledge of how things works. Very sinister, very sinister. But to go away from the Weinstein issue, I did think maybe there's an interesting angle that now, I just sort of thought if they did this in 2015 onwards, Charlie wouldn't be such a bastard. You know what I mean? Like, he'd be more. They'd make. It's not Linda, is it? Kathy. Yeah, they would make Kathy much more reprehensible, and he would be a bit more of a innocent victim.
No, I
who
don't
then
think so.
snaps.
No,
I don't think so. No, I totally disagree.
Redeemable.
She would have been the innocent victim in all this. You know, she would have been down on her luck. She would have. He would have absolutely exploited her. You know, what I appreciate about this, and it's an interesting story because they are both equally reprehensible characters, but for completely different reasons. Whereas if you made it, like, if you say 2015 onwards, it would sway so much more in the man's direction. Murgoot's right. Demi Moore's character Kathy would be redeemable, and she would be ultimately a victim in this story. Whereas I think they're both equally victims and abusers, which is an interesting. And I love the image. I think this image that you brought up's really interesting because it does visually tell the viewer about the greediness of both characters. I mean, you've got the literal greed from is it Charlie, as well as the possessiveness. And then, yeah, you've got Demi Moore's character, Kathy, who just wants to take everything the guy has.
Absolutely.
Greed.
There's a touch in this that I really loved. Oh, Joe, I was blaming the fortune teller. I was saying the fortune teller was shady and in leagues and reminding me of a dodgy casting agent. Come on.
I'm just going to say she was just doing her job. No, I mean,
she listens to Trotsky. What more do you need?
Okay, Joe, can we agree that all three main characters in this story were utter arseholes? Pardon my French. I will concede that the fortune teller could have been a little less vague. Yeah, okay, I can concede that. However, I will still say that ultimately the decision whether to pursue this particular relationship was Demi Moore's character, Kathy.
Yeah.
She could have opted out, and none of this would have happened.
Yeah. I think hopefully we can go with that. Yeah, and I like your observation about this thing that they're having a lot of fun with this, and they're putting a lot of thought into what they're showing here. I love your analysis of this, that they are gluttonous, they're greedy. I mostly got that photo just because of Slopgate. I just thought I'd get some slop discussion on, but it works. There's also a really great bit where they have a montage of them dancing and doing dancing to what's it called? Dancing cheek to cheek. Classic.
Oh yeah.
And it's just shot in this way that's obviously a charade that I liked, beautiful. But then when it gets scary, they play a sort of twisted, horrified version of dancing cheek to cheek. They redo it as a scary song, and I loved that. I thought that was fantastic, like the fantasy going into nightmare mode. Oh. Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
I do think the real question, though, that's probably on everyone's mind, especially the chat, is who has the better cleavage, Charlie or Kathy?
Oh, terrible, disgraceful.
You're thinking.
I mean, they're out a lot, aren't they?
Yeah.
I see a sort of Chinese style dress that she had on in the club a lot. I thought that looked cool.
I thought it looked cool. Yeah, no, I thought it looked quite cool as well.
You caught one of the dancers' names. I seem to recall.
Oh God, did I? Oh yeah, Aura Lee. Because I see what you did there.
You sly dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. If Neil Mohan's watching, or whatever his name is, I'm spelling it now in the chat so that when your person comes to manually review this, you'll see that I said Aura Lee and not that.
Marina's having to dash off, but so she's given a score early. We have an early 10. So this seems like a high scorer. I can appreciate that. Hope you enjoyed it, Marina. I know you're dashing off, but thanks for dropping by. You have a good night there. I'll remember that score. So we got a 10 in already. Anyway, yeah, this charade goes up. We've got to remember the whole reason she's putting up with this, at pretty hard to watch relationship. And again, I'm going to flash this up again. He paws at her. He's going quite far. He's like they're not faking that he's like physically touching her and kissing her in an intimate manner. And it is tough to watch.
Yeah,
it's a bit
Creepy as hell.
Yeah. The only reason she's putting up with this is a promise that he's going to inherit money. And she gets sick of it. She's basically breaking, and she decides she can't take any more. She goes in, she storms into the fortune teller, gives Madame Zorna what for, and then goes into, is it a laundromat or something? Or just a regular store? Grocery store, thank you. And it turns out...
1 millionth customer gag.
Yep. Yeah, she's a 1 millionth customer. She wins a prize, and she then doesn't need him anymore. She's got her money, so she goes back and tells him that she's going to leave him. And she just unloads on him. She gets so spiteful. She really lets him know what she thinks.
She tells him to eat like salads and just.
It's the closing parting word, isn't it? Like, she's brutal about it. She's saying when he yanks a suitcase away from her, she says, "That's fine. I'll get new clothes. I'll never get the stink of you out."
Oh yeah.
It's harsh. And the last parting shot is her saying he should eat a salad while he goes and gets that kitchen knife. And it actually
have you, nobody can.
Yeah, like this, I would say this got actually tense, actually quite scary in this.
Yeah,
I think they really carried the tension very well here.
I think they did too. Yeah, yeah. It was very very good, this scene, I felt.
Tambor's playing this grotesque character, but he really goes into it. Like he keeps screaming that if I can't have you, no one can. He screams it over and over until he's like breaking down. It's just a howl. And I thought that was actually really good.
Yeah.
I was sold on it.
Yeah.
Murgoot, it sounds like it was a hit with you as well.
It was...
Oh, no.
my least favorite of the three. Then again, it's the least comedic of the three. It just made me uncomfortable in the wrong ways. Just I mean, it's well acted. It really is. I'm not going to give it a negative score, but it's my least favorite of the three. But
Oh, mate, I'll tell you, I actually swing completely the other way. This one was my personally was my favorite because it's such an uncomfortable story. And yeah, like you say, the acting is brilliant. All jokes aside, I mean, Demi Moore was brilliant in this. Like, I mean, she played a character that you were meant to hate, and she did that very convincingly for me. I was kind of like, towards the end, I was like, man, she is insufferable. I love it. And like, this guy is absolutely gut rent, it's just disgusting. And like, the thing is, like, she was absolutely brutal to him, but there was nothing wrong in what she was saying. And like, and it's just like, how the guy was absolutely delusional to the point where it was like, yeah, you need to you need to wake up and smell the coffee, lad. You were punching well above your weight. But yeah, I mean, this for me was just easily the first. Literally, the order I watched it in was this one, then the Arnie one, then the Zombie Girl one, and my favourite was this one, 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, we'll get into our scores pretty soon, because I mean that's kind of the end of the episode. Well, I suppose it's a payoff now. He's flipped out. He's killed her, and Charlie then gets her money, and very shortly after, where is it? Oh, where is it? I nearly had it there. Nearly had the one I need. No, excuse me, folks. There we go. I've got it. Right, here we are. He gets his violent end. This is what was promised. He would get a violent death afterwards.
Yes.
And you see that wonderful irony. It's like poetry. It rhymes.
And the clip of his last meal was the largest recorded.
Oh yeah, I know. Even then, they're throwing shade on him.
Savagery, absolutely savage. Oh dear. Yes.
And again with the Dutch angles, and again with the 4-color comic.
Yep. Just trying to show like that consistent style that's in there. And they're quick about it as well. It's grim. It's grim, and then we end with Madame Zorna bringing in another young woman to exploit. Yeah. I mean, Joe is making a good point here. When she was brutal to him, she unleashed her cruelty. As we said, she's not a great person. She put up with some quite disgusting things, and then in the hope of gain, and then oh dear. Yeah, but yes, she used harsh words. He broke down and got possessive and stabbed her. So it's a fair point, Joe, to balance that out for us. And TCG, who does this?
Just random
testing. Cheers, buddy. Yeah, they couldn't resist getting that last little dab in, could they? Oh dear. Yep. So yeah, we get that sort of the dark irony again, just like in the Switch. So that's why I wanted to sort of balance it out, sort of bookend it with typical episodes.
I just want to clarify, like when I'm talking about Demi's character, I'm not. I don't want anyone to think like I'm defending what this guy did, because I absolutely don't. Like I say, I think they're both equally reprehensible for different reasons. I mean, understandably, what he ultimately did was far worse than anything that could have done. Because I mean, he could have just taken the high road and be like, cut my losses. But yeah, I mean, just leading up to that, man. I mean, on both of them.
I feel there's sort of a lesson in there about how much you let yourself be degraded for money.
True.
And yeah, it helps that they are so, I mean, I want to say unflinching in how gross they make him, and kudos to Jeffrey Tambor for leaning into it and being quite happy to make the guy sort of very, very unsympathetic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
He's-
yeah. I didn't have sympathy for the guy because I mean he bought it on himself ultimately. I mean that night when he first approached her in that club. No, Joe, I don't. I mean up to the point of him hacking her to pieces.
Yes.
And also, I wouldn't suggest that he raped Pryor. I mean, dodgy.
We'll not get
dodgy ground. Yeah,
we'll get out of the Weinstein swamp.
Yeah.
Of that issue. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I get where he's coming from. I'm just saying, like, in terms of like obviously up to that point.
Yeah.
I didn't like either of them, but for obviously for different reasons.
Yeah, and an environment where chaps like Charlie can do what they do is an environment that needs purging by the finest of the Astartes legions. Well, I'm actually I'm looking at the time and I'm mindful of Super Nanny, so we have got to the end of this episode. Was there any observations about this one in particular?
Just great acting, I think.
Yeah.
Good acting, a nice, solid gold digger story, and the allegory of the casting couch, willingly going to the casting couch, is apt.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not told with the nuance and subtlety of David Lynch, but it's still it's worth doing. You know, like reminder, there's quite a few horror films that have dealt with a casting couch.
Yeah.
It's one of the redeeming features of Scream 3, I'd say. Yes, it's unconventional, but dealing with that issue quite frankly, I thought was rather good. All right, well, with that being done, you know, sort of got to what I think is probably the best example you can give of Tales from the Crypt. And actually, I'll close on the Crypt Keeper in his full outfit as his little Madame Zorna costume. It's kind of adorable. I love how cheesy this guy is.
While you're doing that, I don't know if we mentioned it, but I just want to point out, like, I absolutely adore the animatronics that they use for the Crypt Keeper, because especially the mouth movements when he's talking.
It's not animatronics, it's a full puppeteer crew.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Wow. Because I mean, but like those little like subtle mouth movements to like, you know, if it's like me or oohs and the ahs and the but everything seems to line up very, very nicely. It looks very authentic.
Yeah.
They
had a full puppeteer crew for that. Someone on the cheeks, someone on the jaw, someone on the eyes, 2 people on the hands.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't. You know, if you compared it to like a Japanese anime or like Thunderbirds, you know, it didn't look like that. But it was.
Yeah, bearing in mind this is 1989, it looks so darn good. And unfortunately, by the time they came to do the DVD extras for the, I want to say 2007 DVD collection, unfortunately, the latex had not lasted that well. So I'm trying to remember how they worked around it, but effectively the puppet had largely decayed.
Wow.
It's a similar problem that they had with the Michael Myers masks, actually. Nick Castle, the guy who played the Shape originally in Halloween, kept one of the masks, sort of stashed it, if you would, but unfortunately found out that it had basically completely decayed after about...
You're roboting hard.
Yeah, botting a bit there.
Oh, sorry.
You're back now.
I'm better. Okay, good. I was just going to say it's a similar thing to Nick Castle playing Mike Myers, playing the Shape in Halloween. He kept the Mike Myers mask, and unfortunately, 30 years later, the latex does not hold.
Oh,
Alas. So that was a less expensive prop than the Crypt Keeper. So I've got a vague memory that they just sort of wrapped him up in bandages and got him to still try and present, but I can't remember. Maybe you can sort of look that up and confirm. But yes. With that said, shall we go into closing thoughts and scores? And I think, as we've done previously when we've done the TV show, shall we rank? I think we should rank. And chat, I'd like to see your ranks in this as well. So rank an overall score if you want, and you can break it down by episodes as you please. So let's see those scores come in now, chat. I've also seen that apparently all of these episodes are on YouTube.
They are. They are.
Nice. I, of course, watch my legal copies, of course. So, but if you've enjoyed this, you'll be able to find plenty more. And if you want to sort of pick the best of the bunch, plenty of people have made their various lists over the best ones, and I'd probably recommend going with that. I started just rewatching from the beginning, and I'm afraid I found quite a lot of dreck early on. There's a very early episode with Joe Pantoliano, Cypher from The Matrix, in a circus-based episode that you can see the ending coming from a mile away.
Okay.
So you can just watch the lot and take a random one, but I'd probably go through a list first. Anyway, with that said, we'll get into the scoring now. So TCG, would you like to go first?
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, my favourite one was the first one that I watched, which was the Demi Moore one, followed by the Arnie, and then the end story with the zombie girl. I felt like the second one kind of had sort of mirrored a little bit loosely the first one that we watched, because desperate man, hard to get, sort of like woman not really attracted to the guy, but would settle down if he was financially stable enough, that sort of scenario. But I felt like the first one, the Demi Moore one, told a much better story. That it was a very nuanced one where you could actually really sort of delve into the morality and actions of the characters, which is played out in terms of the conversation we've had tonight, as well as with the chat, which is great. More so than the second one, I think, which was just a bit of a comic relief, and also just giving not comic relief, what am I talking about, but giving Arnie a chance to sort of stretch his legs and try something different, I think. The third one I didn't feel as much, but the twist was the twist got me, but it didn't really make sense. It felt a little bit it didn't really resonate with me as well as the other two. But in terms of like overall, the pacing of the episodes was really good, which I know with anthologies is really hard to do, especially if your story isn't coherent. You kind of just sort of throw the ending together, but I don't feel like any of the stories did that, and they progressed quite steadily. So yeah, overall I'd give it, I'd give the episodes that we watched on an average, I'd probably say like 9.5.
Nice.
No ketchup, but we'll throw some extra salad in for our good man. Well, not good man, our disgustingly overweight murderer Charlie, and some salami as well. Why not?
Oh, you got to keep the salami in there, haven't you?
Yeah, and we'll have it served to us by a waitress in nipple tassels.
Oh, perfect. Come on, Miss Lee. Higher than I expected, but I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah, I love it. I love these sorts of things. I mean, I can get that I can get why people might not rank them as high, but I do like these sorts of things when they're done well, and also it kind of reminds me a little bit of my childhood as well. So maybe it gets a little bump because of nostalgia.
Yeah, I can get that. I can totally get that. How about you, Murgoot?
Okay. I'm the exact opposite of TCG. Well, let's see. Let's switch with William Hickey, the old guy. I gave that one an 8. With a little bit of ketchup and a lot of Mad Doctor cackling. I did enjoy it. It was a good, solid, if predictable run, and it was well executed aside from padding out with the surgery scenes, if you can call them that. Dead Right with Demi Moore, Jeffrey Tambor, I gave a 7. It was well done, good story. It just didn't hit me with anything. It was very predictable. Demi Moore is hot as she always was in the 80s and 90s. But she played a real witch, which turned me off to the story. And Jeffrey Tambor was very effective in the fat suit, but the story just didn't do much for me. So I give it a flat 7. And my favorite was New Arrival, with just because of David Warner and Zelda Rubinstein. I gave it a 9. The twist didn't catch me this time. I'd seen it before, but it was just hilarious. And Robert Patrick's cameo, and
That's great. That's so good.
I'm going more on the actors and the acting itself rather than the story. Although the little tidbits, her being a tanker and the electrified doorknobs, and to keep Felicity in the house, kind of thing. That was hilarious. The bubble gum on the walls was just vile. Found it hilarious. And I gave it a 9 for an overall score of about 8.
Yeah,
it's schlock, and it's a good evening watch. It's better than almost everything else on television, but it isn't great.
That's fair. That's fair. I can go with that. I can definitely go with that. It's firmly in that sort of Evil Dead 2 Brain Dead area of, yeah, don't take it too seriously, or Society maybe, where, you know, there's commentary there, but mostly it's there to have a bit of a good time.
Yep.
Yeah, fair play. It's yeah, it is interesting that you got that order, but yeah, the reasoning works, and I'm glad that going for David Warner for you paid off.
Oh yeah, David Warner and Zelda Rubinstein in the same episode. Yeah. I'm in love.
And the Robert Patrick bonus, just you love to see it.
Yeah.
I did just I looked through list of celebs. I know TCG will like the Arnie. I've got to throw him in, but we had our choices there. We could have gone for the Tom Cruise episode.
What?
You know? Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Got an early Tom Cruise. Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, tell you what. Before I give mine, I'll go through some of these names. Right. Well, Billy Zane, obviously. Brad Pitt. I'd missed that one. Brad Pitt was in one. Brad Dourif was in one. Ewan McGregor was in one. Iggy Pop. Jada Pinkett Smith. Big fans, guys. Big fans. What? Tim Curry. Well, I wonder if they're thinking of
what?
Are they thinking of Bordello Blood? Terry Hatcher. TCG,
Oh,
Terry Hatcher, our
gets
favourite.
in.
Is Dean Kane in?
Do you know what? I was watching. My wife was watching Desperate Housewives earlier on, and I was on the laptop and I was side eyeing it because Terry Hatcher's in that, and it's actually a good show. I'm not gonna lie. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine.
Dear. All right, so here we go. Oh, we got a score from the Henry. A 7, an 8, and a 9, but overall a 10. Okay, interesting. That's interesting scoring. All right.
Lots
Is
of
there an act
cheese
of rebellion
nipple
there?
tassels.
Cheese, tomato sauce, and nipple tassels. Yeah, fair play, the Henry. Fair play. All right. Well, I'm quite biased. Dead Right was absolutely my favourite because I thought the plot was the strongest. It had a bit more to chew on, even if it was genuinely very uncomfortable. I mean, I didn't remember, but the scenes where he's creeping on her in the nightclub at the start, it's really not nice. Really not good at all.
Yeah, it ain't nice.
It's like a genuinely disturbing, disgusting story there with a nasty twist to it. So that is a strong one for me. I'd probably rank The Switch next because it's the same vibe. It's told lighter. It doesn't have as many creative touches, but Arnie did a decent job, and the story flows very quickly. And I liked sort of decent, like little things like noticing that they were reusing the set that the Crypt Keeper's in. Cracked me up. The last one for me, even though it has Zelda Rubinstein and David Warner in it, I think it has to be the New Arrival, just because it was cheating so much to get to its ending. And I had a very good time with it, but it was cheating. I could see the I could see the mechanisms under the hood a bit too much. So yes, that takes it down a bit for me. But none of these were bad to me. I didn't have a bad time with any of them. In rewatching this, it firmly reestablished itself. This is cozy watching. I would throw this on. I'm sort of thinking, when it comes to Halloween, I try and do a triple film night, but guys, I'm too old. I'm crumbly now. I can't stay up through 3 films, even if they're all 86-minute classics. So I think I'll do my 2 films, and I might throw on an episode of this to get me through, to still get the triple bill in there somehow. Overall score for this selection, and it is going to wildly vary based on which episode you see, because the variance in quality is intense. But just for these, I would say it's probably like an 8.5. I don't go quite as high as UTCG, but I think 8.5. I had a very good time with that. Oh.
Yeah, okay.
John Gorris with a great reference there. If you're not aware, folks, When a Stranger Calls, I want to say 1974, it could be 1972, is the film that inspired the opening of Scream. It's basically a 3-act play. It's an unusual structure, but they have this great things of just discomfort of a creepy guy really just invading a woman's space. It's very disturbing. It's it's a very good comparison there. Highly recommended, folks. So overall scores are not bad. We're all roughly in the same ballpark, but I noticed a few people really not enjoying this. So Dr. Prepper didn't go for it. Joe really didn't go for it. That's fair enough. I think we're in the 90s, so there is a greater element of sort of Gen X schlock and detachment, which I know can be like really quite dividing for people. Like some people like the horror a lot more pure. And I do find that when we cover horror comedies, I do find that I don't have much to say about them, but that's just me. I still enjoyed this, even though it's got the schlock factor. I quite went for it.
Yeah, I think you and I are both the same in that if you're doing a horror con, it's so tricky to get that balance right.
It really is.
It's just if you lean one way too. I think leaning more into the horror with a slight comedic element isn't anywhere near as bad as if you like slip it into a massive like comedy and then try and throw the in favor of the horror elements, especially if you're trying to, especially as a film production or whatever, you're promoting it as like a horror first, comedy second.
It's a very tough balance.
You want a horror comedy, you go to like Wes Craven or Sam Raimi for the balance.
Yes. Yeah. Shaun of the Dead did very well.
That's a perfect example.
But it really does, I think, save the horror for the very end and then deliver it so darn well. But I'm looking at the clock. I want to stay on the right side of Super Nanny. We've overrun a few times, so I'm going to get my good girl points in. I'm going to get my tendies guaranteed by not overrunning. So, Joe, schlock, is that a Yiddish word? I mean, it sounds like it.
I believe so.
I don't know. I mean, I would assume it is. It's got that feel, doesn't it? It's not a German word, I know, so it probably
is Yiddish.
There we go.
It was origin Yiddish. It was schlock, an apoplectic stroke, or Yiddish schlog, wretch, untidy person. Then in the 20th century, it was adopted into the word schlock.
There we go. Good call. Good call. Okay. So, well, with all that done, folks, that is the end of our review of Tales from the Crypt. Quite delightfully, as I said, you can find it all on YouTube if you enjoyed what you saw tonight. I think a few of you did, so I'm glad to see that. We are doing a slight detour next week when we cover Tales from the Dark Side, the movie. I said we're mostly focused on TV horror. Tales from the Dark Side is a TV anthology horror series, but to be honest, guys, I just really want to cover the movie because it's a long-time favourite of mine. I love it. I've loved it since I was a weean. So
very good.
It's really good
horror comedy movie.
Yeah, with Debbie Harry and actually William Hickey is back in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that is next week.
Buster Poindexter.
That doesn't ring a bell, but
New York Dolls, Buster Poindexter, singer and actor. He's the assassin in the same episode as William Hickey.
Right. Oh, I didn't notice him. Anyway, folks, you will love the cast. You'll once again be pointing at very young stars before they got big. It's great. I think you'll really like it. That is Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, 1990. That is what we're going to watch next week. I made a community post which described everything we've got this month. I got out ahead of it, so you can see that. And well, I think that's everything. We've got your closing thoughts and scores. We got the horror homework. We've shelled, and I actually once again remembered to thank the wonderful people who watch on the replay.
Woohoo!
Yeah. We're on fire, and not just because of this darn heat. All right, folks. Well, with all that done, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope we'll see you next week. Thank you very much, Murgoot and TCG.
Thank you very much. I've just dropped the upcoming AI channel in the in the description again.
There you go.
That's an exclusive for you guys here. You are the first to know about it. When I hit 10,000 subscribers, I'm going to start uploading content on a new channel, as well as the main crime channel, where we'll be getting ChatGPT to make some stories, and I shall narrate them. So go check it out.
I love it. All right, guys, go show TCG some love there. Thanks very much, chat. It's really good discussions tonight. Very cheeky jokes as well that I also enjoyed. And I will leave it there. All right, folks, have great weekends. Thanks, y'all. Cheers.
Dave Benson Phillips.